What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to episode 115 of the Lombard Trucking Show. Be advised, please advise, you can also hear this show on Wreaths Across America radio on the iHeartRadio app on Tuesday, June 11th. And that is exactly what I'm making this episode today about. It's going to be a little bit brief and a little bit motivating. I'm very proud and happy to announce a partnership that myself, Lombard Trucking, Lombard Fit Motor Freight, all that encompasses me. I've entered into a partnership with the organization, nonprofit Wreaths Across America, as an athlete to raise money for their foundation. Now, if you're unfamiliar what Wreaths Across America is, they are a non-for-profit organization that specifically deals with the trucking industry as well as America's veterans. Now, essentially, what they do, and maybe you've heard of them before or seen some of their events or what they do, but each year they have a Wreaths Across America Day where they, have volunteers lay wreaths on service members' graves throughout the country. And they have an event at Arlington National Cemetery every single December with that. Now, when it comes to their theme, and especially what I'm very bought in on, their 2024 theme is Live with a Purpose. Live with a Purpose has probably been every single highlight and mantra of my show. Everything I talk about when it comes to health, fitness, career-wise, the conversations we've had on this show is about living with a purpose and finding what that purpose is in your life. And I believe I found it right here. So let's go into details essentially on how this kind of came to be. I've been brainstorming where I'm going to go with my training, what I'm going to do. I've ran 6 marathons at this point. And where does it go? Where do I go from there? What's next? Ultra marathons. What is this all for? When it comes to, I guess, essentially this athletic stuff that I'm doing. And the idea is, you see it all the time. So Austin Marathon a couple of years ago, I saw this gentleman, Devin Levesque. He's a pretty popular guy. He was running for a charity. And so the idea sparked in my mind, like, okay, maybe I can do this, but it's got to be something relevant. It's got to be a charity that's very relevant to me, to my brand, everything what I've been doing. And through networking in this industry and through this show is when I, started uncovering who Wreaths Across America is, what they're all about, meeting people at the organization. A good friend of mine, friend of the show, Charles Gracie over there, Hot Seat Services. They are a bigly included in what Wreaths Across America does. And I was generous enough for him to make that introduction. So what I want to do here is also just tell a little bit about, what's going on. So I know I'm kind of all over the place, a little nervous about this, but here's the deal. So I am currently training for Waco 70.3, and I'm officially announcing, because I've yet to really tell anybody, that I am entered to race in Ironman, Texas next April in the Woodlands, just north of Houston. That's a full Ironman race. Now, that is to come, but what's important now is for the foreseeable future, what I'm going to be doing is producing a lot of content. The show is going to continue as is. We're going to keep having conversations about the trucking industry, about health and wellness in the industry, talking with drivers, talking with industry professionals, and getting this out there and producing content for Wreaths Across America's own radio station while we're doing this. All the while, I will be continuing to produce fitness and motivational content along with the training, talking about the driver health epidemic. Here's the goal that I'm putting out there. Now, I should actually get into some detail with Wreaths Across America and some of their mission, essentially, and what they do. I mean, this is a story, and I'm just right on their website right here. Here's what happened. So if you're familiar, if you're on Instagram, Twitter, you don't know, here's the deal. Morrill Worcester, owner of Worcester Wreath Company, Harrington, Maine, 12-year-old paper boy when he won a trip to D.C. First to our nation's capital, one that would change the trajectory of his life and the life of millions of others across the country. Seeing the hundreds of thousands of graves in the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier at Arlington National Cemetery made an especially indelible impression on him. It was to be an experience that would follow him throughout his life and successful career, reminding him that his good fortune was due in large part to the values of his nation and the veterans who made the ultimate sacrifice for their country. In 1992, Worcester Wreath found themselves with a surplus of wreaths nearing the end of the holiday season. Remembering his boyhood experience at Arlington, Worcester realized he had an opportunity to honor our country's veterans. With the aid of Maine Senator Olympia Snowe, who's retired, arrangements were made for the surplus wreaths to be placed at Arlington, one of the older cemetery sections that have been receiving fewer visitors. As plans were underway to transport the wreaths to Washington, a number of other individuals and organizations stepped up to help. James Prout, owner of a local trucking company, Bluebird Ranch Incorporated, generously provided transportation all the way to Virginia. Volunteers from the local American Legion, VFW post gathered with members of the community to decorate each wreath with traditional red hand-tied bows. Members of the Maine State Society of Washington, D.C. helped to organize wreath laying, which included a special ceremony at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. So that's the story. For over a decade, this annual tribute went on quietly and privately. Everything changed in 2005 when a photo of the stones at Arlington adorned with wreaths and covered in snow circulated around the internet. Suddenly, the homespun tribute from a small town in Down East Maine was receiving national attention. Thousands of requests poured in from all over the country from people wanting to help purchase and lay wreaths at Arlington. Thousands more wanted to emulate the Arlington Project at their local national state cemeteries. Still others simply desired to share their stories and thank Morrill Worcester for honoring our nation's heroes. Many were surviving family members of those heroes. Unable to donate thousands of wreaths to each state, Worcester began sending 7 wreaths to every state, one for each branch of the military, and additional wreaths to pay tribute to POW and MIAs. In 2006, with the help of the Civil Air Patrol and other civic organizations, simultaneous wreath-laying ceremonies were held at over 150 locations around the country. Patriot Guard riders volunteered as escorts for the wreaths going to Arlington, beginnings of the annual Veterans Honor Parade, a convoy that now travels to the East Coast every year in early December. So you can pull this up right at the Wreaths Across America website. So that is exactly what they do. Each year, there are a lot of donations made that purchase wreaths. Trucking companies then participate and deliver truckloads of those wreaths to Arlington Cemetery and cemeteries all over the country. It's huge. When it comes to living with a purpose, the idea behind this, and if you watch the video on the page, there's 2 times when you die in life. It's when you physically die, you leave this earth, and it's when your name is spoken for the last time. And so the idea of that is to keep these veterans' name continuing to be spoken throughout the time, no matter how much time has passed. Being a military veteran, being a guy who served in the Marines, being a guy who has a family lineage in the trucking industry, who spent 3 years over the road, who's also worked, behind in the warehouse area of it, worked in logistics. I have an affinity towards what this program does. So that's what I'm going to be doing. This is the future. I'm training to run in triathlons, Ironman events to raise money for Wreaths Across America. Here's the deal. The goal, I want to raise $10,000. Flat out. What I've been doing in life, you want to talk about living with a purpose, is setting the bar high. You have to understand when it comes to setting the bar high, I signed up for the CapTex Triathlon a couple months ago. I signed up actually at the packet pickup for the Austin Marathon because I knew I wanted to do it. I knew the triathlons was the next step. Timeline on when I get to Ironman, didn't really know. But as soon as I figured out where I wanted to go charity-wise with where I was going career-wise, this is what I had to do. So I raised the bar. I signed up for the 70.3, which is a half Ironman. And then a week later, I said, what am I doing? What am I doing? And had the coin and signed up for Ironman Texas next year. So it was a done deal. I set the bar high without ever doing a triathlon. I signed up for a full Ironman first. That's exactly the mentality that I've been carrying with, especially since I got off the road. And that's where I'm going to be going. And instead of setting the bar, instead of just being a little more on the humble side, I'm going high. This is a huge organization and a huge event. And at the end of the day, the cost of a wreath is $17. So $17 to that wreath. And now, where can you donate? You can go to, the donation link, you can go to wreathsacrossamerica.org/Lombard, Lombard. That link is going to be in the show notes. That link is going to be posted. It is going to be blasted everywhere. This is essentially what I'm going to be blasting on social media. Now, here's the thing. I need you guys' help. I know everybody watching isn't out there to necessarily donate. It's a tough economy. It's a tough world, especially for the truckers out there. I know you're hurting with the price of fuel still being high, with rates. I was just talking to a friend of mine who's leased on to the carrier I was leased on to. We were talking about the market yesterday. Not good. Things, things aren't great. We read about it all the time, all the analytics. I get it. So that's the thing. But when it comes to sharing this content, there is a purpose behind it now. Again, especially for those of you who are watching on Instagram, I have constantly, time and time again, harped on grifters, course sellers, all those sorts of people who are just trying to make a dime off selling their real estate course, or the G faces and the double brokers of the world. I get it. That's not what I'm here for. Sure, what am I doing going to lead to give me some level of clout? Sure. But guess what the clout's for? It's for actually honoring America's veterans. We just had Memorial Day, and this is for veterans who died in combat and served in general. This is to do something to honor veterans, to also raise awareness for what is currently killing drivers and drivers who are also military veterans. That's the next part. So besides this cause, actually doing something to honor America's veterans that should be automatic, like legitimately, there shouldn't have to be a nonprofit to do this, to honor these guys, the no names, the people we don't know, that we, should be honoring Memorial Day. There shouldn't have to be a nonprofit. This should be like a given in society, but it's not. At the same time, I'm going to be raising more and more awareness. I'm not going to stop talking about this driver health epidemic. Recently speaking at the Broker Carrier Summit, if you listen to the last episode, I'm going to harp and say these stats over and over again because people aren't understanding why it is a problem. People can think I'm crazy. I turned into the crazy fitness guy, or I'm a psycho. Again, I'm going to reiterate something I said last night. Even though I'm in the midst of doing 75 hard, I've never said to give up ever going out to eat. I've never said stop drinking alcohol forever. If you don't do this, you'll fail. It's unrealistic and not true at the end of the day. What it is about is building and sustaining healthy habits, so that way you can, in the trucking industry, reach retirement. And not only reach retirement, but be able to pick up your grandkids in retirement, carry your groceries, possibly grow a garden, mow the lawn, bathe yourself. This is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about being perfect or being some Sigma grind set, cold plunging sauna guy that you see on Instagram or Twitter telling you exactly how you have to live and what made up chemicals he just said that were in some sort of beverage that he's talking about. We're not doing any of that here. But what we are going to start talking about more and more and more again is the fact that drivers are dying at 61 years old on average. That's their life expectancy. That the obesity rate, over 2/3 of the trucking industry are considered obese, double the working class population. So just one industry, again, is double the entire working class population of the United States in obesity. Obesity, we know, raises the risks of all things like heart disease, high blood pressure, cancer, Alzheimer's, etc. Visceral fat on your organs, not good for you. Sugary, excessive amounts of drinking soda will put fat on your liver that will lead to problems down the road, whether you consume alcohol or not. These are real issues that need to be brought to light. And where there are other truckers out there who are being fit and being active, guess what? We need more of that. We need more people out there actively living this lifestyle, talking about it, promoting about it, making shows about it, making content about it. It needs to become normalized. We're going to be talking here shortly with Dr. Mark Manera, again, the founder of Off Shift, who has a program with carriers to help give them health coaching and personalized health coaching to drivers. That needs to be the societal and industry norm. At this point, it needs to be the standard, as in when a driver starts at a company, whether he's a new driver, he's been trucking for 10 years, whether they're getting to that company, that needs to be by default part of the carrier's benefits, period. That needs to be sold, whether it's mega carrier or even the smallest carriers. It needs to get to that point to where Off Shift is readily available to any driver in the trucking industry. And if the carrier is small, the driver can pay a nominal, very low fee out of maybe their paycheck to pay for something like that, whether it be $5 or $10 a month, so to speak. we have currently in the market we are in. I, coach and train a lot of people who work in the tech and tech industry, corporate America. A lot of these people have employers that pay for gym memberships. We have One Pass, Gym Pass, all these things. Seems to be getting normalized out there in the keyboard world and all that stuff. Well, yes, having a sedentary job does kill those people, but they have luxuries like a nearby gym and grocery stores readily available and an easier path of making healthy decisions, whereas truck drivers do not, and the statistics are showing that. So there it is. This is short and sweet today, a short episode about the future ahead. This is what my future is. I'm the author of this story. At the end of the day, do I still feel some embarrassment sometimes? And do I get the inkling that I'm letting people down and letting the supply chain down by not driving and being over the road and being out there on the grind with people? Yeah. But guess what? I'm still the author of this story. We're living with a purpose. And when I think about it from the outside looking in of the trucker turned triathlete, somebody coming from the trucking industry and entering the fitness industry, it's a rare story. It's one you don't really read about every day. And guess what? In this world, in this, current climate with everything going on in the world, personally, and this might sound like ego, or it might sound like what it is, it might sound like whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, this world, this country, this climate needs more heroes. And you want to know what? I'm going to go out there and try to do that. I'm going to live with a purpose. I'm going to do this. I'm going to train for hard events, and along the way, raise some awareness, raise some money for some good cause. And look, I'm not in it for anything. I'm just here to do it because it should be done. It's the right thing to do. Drivers are dying, and we have veterans who deserve to be honored. And the drivers who are driving those wreaths also deserve better overall at the end of the day. There's a lot of issues that are facing this industry and a lot more conversations to be had. I'm excited to have them. I appreciate everyone who has tuned in for this awesome announcement. I'm very excited for the partnership that's to come. Now, what I will say to close this out, because I got to, is companies out there, if you're watching, LinkedIn, Twitter, if you are the owner of a company or you work for the marketing department of a company that works in freight, or you're a company that's just overall generally interested in this mission, I am seeking sponsorships in this. I think other people have stuff to gain. And personally, if it comes to the selfless contributions of other companies out there, especially in freight, in or outside of freight, anybody out there who sticks their name, know that there is true value to associating yourself with the cause that I'm doing and with an organization like Wreaths Across America and the idea of physical fitness and health and wellness for drivers out there. This is a great opportunity for your marketing team, for your company out there to attach their name to something that's really positive, that's going to look good out there in the world, that you have a former trucker who's running Ironman events to raise money to honor America's veterans and to make drivers healthy. That's right there, a mission statement. If you're out there on LinkedIn watching or anywhere, you're the owner of the company, you can probably expect to hear from me, is all I'm going to say, because the thing is, this isn't going to work by just me and me alone. I know got a good chunk of people watching live here on the StreamYard link, and I really appreciate you guys. I posted a video Memorial Day the other day. I had told you that this is how I live with a purpose. This is what I'm going to do to make the industry better and what I can do and in my power, but I can't do it alone. It's going to take an army. It's going to take a team. And look, we know in the world of trucking that the shutdowns and stuff like that don't work. We've talked about it. Gordon and I have talked about it on the show. That's not really where we can go with sending a message. But if we continue to keep talking, growing this voice louder and louder, then we can start actually making some real change. And I think doing the action, taking the action steps of, hey, I'm going to train for this event, but the reason why is because of this, honoring America's veterans and raising awareness about the driver health epidemic. I think it's a worthy cause that a lot of people can jump on board with. So again, out there, if you are listening and you are interested, please reach out to me. You can find me anywhere on the internet at Lombard Trucking. You can email me at mike@lombardtrucking.com. You can also please message me privately. I would be more than happy to share my number. And also, if you're a content creator yourself, if you have a YouTube channel, Instagram, a platform, something that I don't necessarily really have all that much, and you're looking to boost this memo out there, especially for something that honors veterans, reach out to me. Let's do this together. I'm willing to work with literally anyone on this to get this message out and to have some fun along the way. But that's it. I'm going to leave it there for those of you guys who are tuning in on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. Again, just want to reiterate this for anybody tuning in live and anybody who's listening on the iHeartRadio app. My goal, we're going to raise $10,000. One wreath is $17. You can go right to wreathsacrossamerica.org/Lombard. Donate today. A lot more to come. But until then, I'm going back to the bench. Take care.